What's good, YouTube, and welcome to the house. Every time I see a discussion about how the Yu-Gi-Oh! Secondary market is shaping up, be it in relation to Pokemon or Magic secondary market, I hear a resounding argument every single time that Konami doesn't care about its secondary market, Konami doesn't pay attention to its secondary market, and this is completely and utterly ridiculous. So I want to destroy and debunk this argument for good right here and right now on why they care about their secondary market and what it does for them. So let's just go ahead and jump into it. And our first look at how they kind of shape up the secondary market is set crafting. Whenever they're actually going in and creating the sets for Konami USA, there's this little thing that has been complained about for a very long time, and that's rarity bumps from the OCG. See, the OCG has separate rarities for certain cards, which allow them to have high secondary market values for one version of the card and relatively lower than us on other cards. Also, their cost of product is cheaper overall. So the OTS stores and, say, big shops like Target and Walmart are paying a certain amount for the product, and Konami needs that product to be in demand by the players. So what does that mean? They have to create chase cards that people are actually looking for in the set to create a demand for their product and a resale value that keeps people driving back over to those shops to go ahead and get it, or just, you know, sitting around ordering online. So the vendors are paying, say, between $55 to $60 for these boxes, depending. Sometimes as cheap, I think, as $52.50, depending on your distro hookup. Now, they need to make that money back and more to run their overhead to continue to sell these products and to push Yu-Gi-Oh! Harder maybe than their other card games like Magic and Pokemon. Almost every single shop needs to do multiple games at this point. So what's Konami have to do to create that? Well, we've seen, besides rarity bumps, also lately, even in core sets, short printing cards to make them harder to get so that people will be opening more of their product in order to go after it. And what's it mean? If people are opening full cases and only getting 2 of a certain secret rare instead of 3, whoo laddie, that price is going up. We see this very recently in Flames of Destruction with 2 of the shorter printed cards, with Infinite Impermanence sitting at around $85, which is above the cost of a box, a successful product. And then Ghost Bell is around now $60. Hard to imagine a Ghost Sister going up like that, right? We also look at Cybernetic Horizon. We've got Boral Sword, a short printed one of in the extra deck that demands $70 right now. We also have over in Soul Fusion, Thunder Dragon Colossus, which is around $80. A lot of people projected it would have been cheaper, and I think could flux between $70 to $80. Now, it's not just the online shops creating this demand for the card, because the demand comes from us, the players. Not all the vendors can hold together in this magical bubble and not sell their cards. They need to flip their money to continue to pay that overhead, which creates competition, which means people are trying to set prices as low as possible in order to create their sales and not make some magical band of merry men trying to make you pay an extra toll in the game. We even look to the past. Let's go before short prints and core sets. NECH, Next Challengers, is considered a failed set by many, yet had Clifford Disc and Virgil, 2 very on-release in-demand cards that both spanned above the $50 mark. Pretty much every set needs to have cards like these to be successful when it's a main set. Side sets include reprints, which, hey, why would Konami care about having reprints if they don't care about the secondary market? Oh, it's for us, the players, right? They're protecting us, the players. Well, what do they tend to reprint? Could it be in-demand cards? Let's go to a very, very specific example that shows Konami cares about its secondary market. One that you've been chasing for perhaps for a while. Ash Blossom and Joyous Spring. Not short printed just once, but twice. In Legendary Collection, Kaiba Ash was one of the hardest cards to get, both by USA and EU ratios. And People were very displeased to open so many packs and be chasing the hand traps overall. Ghost Ogre, Drollin Lock, Ghost Reaper, and Ash Blossom were all relatively hard to get, weren't they? But especially Ash Blossom, because it was even harder to get than the rest. So there becomes a $50 ultra rare and a $30 product that people really struggle to get. In a case, I think you get 2 to 2.5 on average or something like that. Now we go to Shadows in Valhalla. It's second printing. Ash dodged Battles of Legend, where everything's relatively easier to get, another reprint set we'll talk about in a bit, and then it also dodged the Megatins, which focus on almost every card from the year that Battles of Legend didn't manage to reprint. What's happening here? Why is this so frustrating? Oh, right, because in Shadows in Valhalla, a super rare should be relatively easy to pull. Perhaps multiple on average per box, but instead, Ash Blossom isn't even in every single sealed box. Ash Blossom happens to be about 10.5 per case on its printing. Meaning, when you're chasing after Ash Blossom, it's the top card of a side set in terms of pricing for being a super rare, where you have brand new secret rares. And perhaps this is just me being a little cynical, but that's never happened in the history of Yu-Gi-Oh! And it comes with a card that Konami knows is very in demand. Now, to this point of set crafting and, arguing the points that they've pushed this card like this, I think Ash Blossom's almost undeniable. But for, let's say, argument's sake, set crafting, Konami only cares about the sales of the product and the continuing demand. They don't care about the secondary market. I think Ash Blossom debunks that a little. But let's look at specifically Battles of Legend, especially Light's Revenge, the very first Battles of Legend. Konami targeted pricey cards, period. They even said in-demand cards. Looking at Artifact Sanctum, Into the Void, which had not had a reprint ever, yet wasn't being played in many meta decks. They weren't just surveying, oh yeah, this is being played in a lot of the top cut decks. They were looking back at cards like Dark Lord Ixchel, which was the top card for Destiny soldiers at the time. They really took a gander, looked around, and said, that's worth money right there. That's worth money right there. Reprint it. And honestly, it was an awesome crash for the secondary market that did make it cheaper for players. So I can already see some of you arguing, oh, they don't care because they went ahead and... No, it means they paid attention to this card. It means they paid attention to all of these cards, looked around, and decided to put it in one of the best-selling sets of all time. So it's almost like reprints, when they were worth money and were in demand, and Konami goes ahead and reprints it, it's like they're directly making themselves money. It's almost like Konami's a business that would pay attention to this sort of thing to see how the product's gone and what future products they can have. Let's give a direct other example of them caring about the secondary market. It goes back to set crafting a little bit. Vrain's Pack. They could have given it to us all in one nice little packaged set. But no, they used it to strengthen core sets and create other chase cards like Heavy Metal Foes Electromite and boost sets like Shadows in Valhalla, where on release the Link monster was around $30+ for Alistair. Yet now it's Tanked and Ash Blossom's the most pricey card after everybody realized how it played out. Ooh, big oof. So we look around at examples like this, right? The Vrain's Pack imports being placed where they are, Ash Blossom being placed where it is, the shorter prints in sets, and we can safely say that Konami has to care about its secondary market because that's how they continue to sell the game and create a demand for their product. If their product wasn't selling well on a secondary market, that means the demand for it goes down, that means the sales for it goes down, and they're not able to continue on the level that they're at. So they definitely do pay attention. It's not as if they just pull up the tournament sheets, as mentioned when looking at cards like Into the Void for reprints. It's not just like they're looking at the number of, oh yes, Timmy over here topped with 3 of this, and so did Billy and Bobby and Jeff and everybody. We should definitely be reprinting these cards. no, that's not directly how it works. They're also looking at, will there be a demand in this product for it currently? And they definitely do that at times. So, thanks for watching. I think this is a commonplace argument many of you guys have seen and can relate to experiencing. What do you think about the points that I have presented? I definitely think I make a strong argument for the fact that they do care about the secondary market and do pay attention for it. And I think reprints are the strongest argument, but also their own set crafting and how they do things makes it to where the secondary market does shape up and how it normally goes. So let me know if you enjoyed the conversation. Give this video a thumbs up if you did. Subscribe if you haven't already. And thank you so much for watching some Yu-Gi-Oh videos that I just enjoyed talking about.